Well, hello and welcome to the Shoulder Pad. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We believe that this is an opportunity for you to see the inside of the transition from one place to another as it relates to professions. The whole purpose for this is to give us an opportunity to talk a little about the challenges of transition. Sometimes the transition is a challenge, especially for us of those who have been in professional careers for long periods of time. The change is not as easy as it would seem. So I felt there was a great opportunity to create a platform for any of us in any profession who've been a career professional to talk a little bit, to hear some of the things that were done from some really great people who made the transitions and were able to successfully move into the next level. You know, change is never easy. So we have to always consider the fact that, you know, you live life on purpose and you do things on purpose. You get an opportunity to go out and hear from others. And I think that the platform of the Shoulder Pad will give you the opportunity to learn, to listen, to hear, to talk, and to maybe even feel the things that others have felt, to let you know that you are not going through what you're going through alone. So thank you for being here and welcome to the Shoulder Pad. We're here today with a great friend of mine, a past teammate, Jim Haslett, who's had some great experiences in the NFL as a player and also as a coach in multiple leagues and had a lot of transitions. And so, Jim, man, it's just, I appreciate you for doing this. I really do, man. I thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's good seeing you. You know, I haven't talked to you in a long time, and you know, and it's kind of weird, Byron. You know, you talk to some of the teammates, like I talked to Kenny Johnson and Smirlis and some of those guys. It's like you never miss a beat. Like we haven't talked to you for 30 years, and you just tell stories. And I went up and did a card signing with Freddie and Kenny Jones and Shane Nelson and all those guys, and I had a blast. That was probably one of the best times I've had in a long time.
Well, I tell you what, man, when I got to Buffalo, of course, I got there in 81. I understand you got there in 79.
Yeah, 79.
Wow, man. I got to Buffalo in 81. Of course, Buffalo, you guys had kind of built a platform and were really, the team was really riding high. Coach Chuck came in with Ground Chuck and all the veteran players just kind of created a platform for winning. And we came in and all I heard about before I got there and all of these billboards and stuff talking about the Bermuda Triangle, man, the Bermuda Triangle. I'm thinking, what is that, man? What is that all about? And then I get there and find out it's Jim Haslett, it's Shane Nelson, and the hog up front.
Freddie Smirlis, yeah.
Freddie Smirlis, man. And so
you know what? I still they pull those things out once in a while, you know, the triangle. Like I'm like 210 now. I was 265 then. You know,
were you 265?
Oh yeah. And Shane was like 250.
Yeah.
And we went up and did this autograph signing. And I said, look at you guys, you got fat. They said, look at you, got skinny.
But did you have to work to get up to that size?
I did. There was a lot of lifting then, and you know, we did a lot of, you know, just to maintain it, because that was the old school when people ran the football, they didn't throw it snap, and you know, you had to stop the run. The most impressive thing I thought that year, my rookie year, because we had 5 rookies starting on defense.
Wow.
So myself, Freddie, Jeff Nixon, Kenny Johnson. So it was great to, you know, to come in and take over a program that won a few games and make the playoffs and do all that. So I think that was probably the thing that was most exciting about it, especially those.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I want to jump right into it, because I know you your schedule is crazy. Being the head coach now, the Seattle Sea Dragons, huh? And so I'll get into that in just a minute. And I got a list of all of the places you've coached, man. I know one of your wife said that she wanted to retire, and yeah.
Well, we kind of retired for a month. We went on an Alaskan cruise, went to Banff. And that's Byron's not, so I
said it worked out about the same way it worked out for Tom Brady, right?
Yeah, it's about right. So the good thing is the job that I took with the Sea Dragons is located in Dallas.
Oh wow.
So my son coaches with the Cowboys, and he just had a little baby boy.
Oh wow.
So Caden. So my wife agreed to it. That way she could come down and live with me, but I never see her because she's hanging out all the time.
That worked out great for her, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
This is what I want to do. The shoulder pad, this podcast, man, I'm gonna tell you how it came about. I would go back to our Bills reunions, and for the most part, everybody's doing great, man. But every now and then, I'd run across a person, and I'd see that we get together, and it'd be like we were there, we never left, and we were hanging out, and everybody tries to relive the whole moment of when we were together, and that would last for about 25 or 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, or whatever. But then things were kind of quieting down, and then I'm a minister, so I could see people's faces, and I could see that there were some people that were really not doing very well. Just personally, whether it be psychologically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. And we would have talks and stuff like that. And when I came home, I said to my wife, man, it would be great to have a platform where some of the guys could get on and just kind of talk a little bit about some stuff that they need to talk about, because we always talk about the success stories, the rookie of the year stuff, and the Bermuda Triangle and the hype and the plugs, but we don't really talk a lot about the challenges of transitioning from going from one phase to another. And for me, I swear sometimes I feel like I'm still trying to make it, just to transition out of playing. And for you, it's been you're still in the culture because you've been coaching, and so you sort of stayed in the culture. But I want to ask you about a particular point. When you knew your career was over and it was time to make a decision. Now, for some of us, you roll right into something. Some of us, it take a while, it take a minute. But talk to me about that moment when you knew your last play was done and it was over.
Well, I probably knew a year before that I couldn't play anymore.
Yeah.
Because when they cut me a year later, I told them that, you're late about a year because I couldn't run any. So I kind of knew it was coming to an end, Byron, but you never admit it.
Yeah.
And you all think that you're better than you are at the end. And I actually, by the grace of God, I got lucky, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I graduated in elementary ed.
Yeah, me too.
You just get done playing 10 years in professional football. You're not really sure what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to join Case Stevenson.
Oh, yeah.
And he was coaching in the United Football League. And he asked me to come. And it was weird because I just got married.
Wow.
I was married by the year, just had a baby girl, and up and left. Went to Sacramento, California. Won this whole championship. And then at the end of the year, I was in the same boat. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
You're not making any money in this. I can't live like this, flying around. So I was in February the 23rd. I'll never forget. I got a call from Al Davis. And he just let go of the linebacker coach with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I'd be interested in coaching with the Raiders.
Wow.
And I said, yes. I went down to interview and he hired me. I was the last coach in the NFL to be hired that year.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for Al Davis and Art Shell, I have no idea what I'd be doing to this day. So they kind of kicked my career off. I did that. I was the linebacker coach for 2 years. And Jim Mora, down in New Orleans offers me. So I got down there for 2 years as the defensive coordinator. Now, I've been in the league 2 years. I don't even know. I don't know what I don't know. I know like all the work it was into it and all that. And we actually played pretty good on defense. And then the second year, Jim retired. So I got lucky again. Bill Cowher was looking for a defensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. So I'm from Pittsburgh, all that. If I get, by the grace of God again, I go to Pittsburgh as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
2 years later, the owner from the Saints offers me the head coaching job.
Wow.
So 6 years in the league, I go to New Orleans. Great experience.
Head coach.
Yeah, great experience. Win the first playoff game ever in the history of the organization. Turned the team around. Did a lot of good things. And then that's kind of how it's all got in place. So I'm like every other player that gets done, unless you're some of these guys that kind of map out they kind of know, but there ain't that many. You know that, Byron.
I know it.
Out of the 1,300 players playing, I say there's 100 that know what they're doing when they're done.
That's
the other
right.
12 just kind of wing it.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's because you see all the glory and all the money and all this other stuff. Well, not everybody's getting all that money.
Yeah.
Number one, not everybody's getting all that glory. The 1 out of fucking 50, maybe it, but it's you're really kind of out there. You're not really sure where you're going next.
Yeah. So you made the decision to go into coaching, and you like you're saying, for the first 4 or 5 years, you don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? Al Davis tried to get me to be the coordinator in my second year in the NFL, and I told him, I don't. Nobody else does. I can't. I'm just coaching the linebackers. So, and I wasn't ready for it. And I kind of got pushed into the job my third year, but it worked. Everything worked out. And I've been around people that work out, and I've been around people that doesn't work out. Yeah. And you're in the same boat again 2 or 3 years later.
Well, coaching is a whole lot. Obviously, coaching is just almost the luck of the draw and the personnel that you have, because, as an old coach that we used to be under said, coaches coach, but players play, and so having the right guys on the team can make you look like a great coach. And then having the wrong guys on the team can make you look like you suck as a coach, You know
what? And how I coach like I played.
Yeah.
I talk to the players like I played. I try to put it into perspective. I try to tell them this is how I see it.
Yeah.
This is how you play this.
Yeah.
This play, this set of downs. So
yeah.
I do it through my set of eyes. Like, times have changed. Like, to watch the guard through the fullback. Well, I want to know where the fullback's going, but there is no fullback anymore.
No.
So you got to see the whole picture, because you get all these jet sweeps and emotions and all that stuff. So there's a lot of your eye. You got to coach your eyes. You got to coach your brain. You got to kind of coach everything in this business. It's not just, okay, you do your job. No, you want to know what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
You want to help everybody else, and you communicate.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you're having a fabulous career coaching, and one of the things for me, I did coach, and I actually considered it. I made a decision, Jim, and I don't know if it was a very smart decision now, but I made a decision after I finished playing, that I wanted to kind of maybe see who I was or develop myself outside of sports. And that's a very smart thing, and it's also a very dumb thing, because my comfort zone obviously is sports, and I wanted to kind of make sure that I developed myself outside of it. I had been in it long enough to where I wanted to kind of get away, and so for a few years though, I wanted to give myself something that I could do to give me some foundation. So I coached with women's basketball, a guy by the name of Joe Champy. And I think he's from Pennsylvania. He coached women's basketball, and he was a Hall of Fame coach down at Auburn. And He asked me to come, and after I finished with Seattle, he asked me to come and see if I would, help coach with them. And I was like, man, I don't know anything about women's. I know basketball, but I don't know women's basketball. That's, I'll mess around, get hurt somebody or something. So he says, well, come to practice. And he was out there yelling with them girls. He had them crying and stuff. I said, oh yeah, I can do that. So I stay with him. I go to 2 Final Fours, 2 national championship games. And then right out of that, I go out and I start working for a marketing company, a Pepsi Cola, family-owned Pepsi distributor, and I stayed there 17 years. But the whole time, I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna do this for a few years, and then I'm gonna get into coaching, man. I'm gonna get into coaching, and so that whole mindset went on, but it went on for 17 years. I was making good money, and I was in a good spot, very comfortable. I didn't have to do a whole lot. I just had to kind of, represent the company and do some stuff. And so it worked out great. But I go into ministry and I leave that, but I always kept coaching. So I coached middle school. I got pulled into coaching. The middle school football coach left in the middle of the summer, just before fall practice starts. And I had been coaching little league 9, 10-year-olds, 11, 12-year-olds, and man, I was coaching 11, 12-year-olds like they were NFL guys. I had multiple formations, and they couldn't deal with me because they show up one time, I'll come out of the huddle once, and it would be straight pro offense, and then the next thing it would be 2 tight ends. Then they come out again, it'd be unbalanced right, unbalanced left. They couldn't figure out how I got those kids to learn that at that age, and I said, well, shoot, that's all. I just drilled them on it. And so nobody could beat me because I just put all that multiple stuff in, and I didn't have a quarterback because they can't really throw at that age. So I'll beat the heck out of people.
Well, it's funny because I tell the even at that level or any level, the NFL, I think there's 3 things that come into coaching, and I think you got to teach.
Yeah.
You got to inspire.
Yeah.
And you got to care about them.
That's right.
And if you can't do those 3, stay out of coaching.
You're right. Listen,
because you don't know what you're getting, and everybody learns a different way.
Yeah,
you can't talk to everybody the same way. I was just talking to a player the other day, and he always says, "Why do you always correct me?" Like before we go to the meeting, I said, "Because I'm not getting an argument with you in the meeting."
Right.
Because just listen to what I say. Because he always likes to come back and tell me what he thinks. Right. So I'm not doing it. So I'm going to coach you before I go to the meeting. So when I say it in front of everybody else, they know exactly what I'm looking for.
That's right.
And you know, and when there's no conversation. Yeah. And then I got to inspire them, because every day is a different day, and not every day. These guys all got something on their mind.
Yeah.
They all got family issues.
Yeah.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
They all have
financial issues.
So you got to inspire them to be the best they can be every day.
Yeah.
To help them to get to where they want to be. And you got to care about them. You got to truly care about them. Even even in this league, I got them all.
Yeah.
Every different walks of life. Poor, dumb, not real smart, not dumb, but not real smart.
I know.
Some are really smart.
Do dumb things. They meant not dumb, but they do dumb things.
Yeah, that's fun. But the bottom line is, you got to care about them, and you want to do what you think is best for them.
Yeah.
Help their career along.
Yeah.
So every day, even especially at this level, it's a little bit below the NFL, but there's a lot of guys that have played in the NFL or are going to go back to the NFL. So it's a great challenge.
Yeah.
It's fun, but if you can't do those 3, you can't coach.
Yeah.
And what level? You could be high school, you be college, NFL, doesn't make a difference. You got to be able to teach. You got to inspire them to be the best they can be, and you got to care. Yeah. You know what the thing about this business, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what it is?
What is it?
Nobody cares if you're white, you're black, you're green, purple. All they care about is what you do on the field to help them win.
That's right.
And help. So later on in life, like you and I are talking right now, when's the last time we talked?
It's been years, man. 30, 40 years.
Yeah. But I feel like I just talked to you last week.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals. That's nobody cares about color. Nobody cares. All they care about is winning and having fun. And then 30 years from now, that's all you remember that stuff.
Well, it's the common denominator, man. It's the common ground that causes us to be able to transition out of a lot of stuff that the world deals with. And that's one of the reasons why the challenge of transitioning is so tough, because, man, when we get together, we've been teammates, and we build those bonds together. When you leave the locker room, the life ain't the locker room, man. It's not the same. And like you said, when you went on the cruise and stuff, it took you about 3 days to realize, man, I can't, this is not the same. It's sort of like nobody, and I said this in one of my other segments when I was talking to a guy, nobody, the real world does not like to look at their mistake film. And they don't like you pointing out their mistakes because they got, their feelings on their shoulders. Well, guess what? We look at our mistakes every day. That's what we did. I mean, the only way for us to get better was to look at our mistakes and hear it. Hey, look, this is what you did wrong. You went this way. You should have gone that way. And you sit in a room and you look at your mistakes. Well, guess what? When you go outside this arena, you go outside this culture, you sitting around with a lot of folks and you talk, you go, hey, you should have done this. Yeah. Well, who are you to tell me? Don't talk to me like that. You don't tell me what to do. I'm like, no, man, I'm trying to help you. You don't understand. I'm trying to help you. So you're so right, man. My dad was a coach, and players would come over to our house and walk in and go in the refrigerator like they were at home. So there's a component to coaching that has to be personal. It has to be, man, and not personal from an emotional standpoint, but from a caring standpoint. You're as much of a father to some of those guys right now, even in a professional level. You're as much as a father to some of those guys who never had one, because the odds of you being with kids now that had a fatherless home is about 75%, and if it's a black kid, it's about 80 to 90%. that they didn't even have a dad. So you are as much a father to these guys as the one that they may have had or didn't have at home. And I think just hearing you talk about it, it tells me that you tapped into your purpose. And I think that the greatest key to being able to transition, man, out of from the cleats to the streets is to be able to tap into your passion, man. So I really applaud you. And if there's anything that you would do differently, I can't imagine you saying it would be anything different. If you could think through and do anything different, what would it be?
I probably, it's funny you said that. Probably the worst mistake I made, could coaches bounce from city to city.
Yeah, yeah.
I moved my my eldest daughter.
Yeah.
When she was senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Just left her there with my wife and my youngest daughter and my son, and let her graduate from there.
Yeah.
But I want her to come with me to St. Louis then.
Yeah.
Us with the Rams. And then probably the worst mistake I ever made, taking her out of high school. So then the next time it happened with my son, we just left him in school, and it never happened with my youngest one. So that was probably the worst mistake I ever made.
Personal. Yeah.
Yeah. More concerned about me being with the family than her, a new school, which is hard for kids.
Yeah, I get that, man. I've gone through divorce, and so I've got two sets of kids. I've got the older set, one who worked at Disney World, and now he's working with USDA, and my daughter who works with Delta. She's a trainer for flight attendants, and she flies domestic and international. They went through a really tough transition because, sometimes when you go through those divorces, parents act like kids and they get very personal, want to attack, and they use kids a lot of times to attack. So I went through that piece, and then married to a wonderful woman now, and we have two kids together, and we made a transition to, my church is 1 hour and 40 minutes away from where I live. For the first 8 years, we commuted. on Sundays for 8 years, every Sunday. And planted a church and ended up with 23 acres of land to, building and, but it's in the poorest section of the state and one of the poorest counties in the country. And this is my pastoral side. You can always rebuild and you may never be able to go back to certain things, but you can always establish a platform. And I use the word of God almost in everything I do, almost in everything I do, because that's just who I am. And it's given me a platform to build a relationship and connection. And with the kids, when they're mistakes and when they're going through things, you just have to realize that you are going to have to be that one that holds it together from a foundational standpoint with wisdom. But anyway, man, I really, 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 really want to thank you so much for coming on. And when you move back to your NFL, if you need a receiver coach, let me know. Or if you need a personnel, a guy that does no coaching and nothing, but he's just like a personnel guy that goes.
There's a lot of hanging around.
Yeah.
Hey, Byron, if I went back to the NFL, I think my wife would kill me. She just 34 years coaching, 10 years playing. I think she's had enough. So
yeah, well, I understand. The decision to make that change is about family too. And one of the reasons why I didn't go, I did broadcasting, I did some coaching stuff, but when I got remarried, I wanted my marriage to work. And so I was doing men's basketball with Auburn, and of course you're gone 2 days out of every week during the season and then doing the tournaments and stuff like that. And so I just had the mindset I was going to really give my marriage everything that I could give it and make it work. And so it became a major priority for me. And so I stepped out of broadcasting, I stepped out of coaching, and stepped out of those things to just really basically focus on my kids and my family, man. And I feel like sometimes, man, I'm doing all I can to make it work and do what I can do. It's a journey, but I'm happy with where I am. I'm sober and happy and clean and all that kind of stuff, man. And it's been, surviving Buffalo was for all of us.
Yeah.
was a good thing, and surviving the NFL and the transition out was really hard too. I ended up in Seattle after I played 7 years, and had a knee injury in Seattle in the Kingdom, and that's how my career ended. And so it was abruptly stopped and emotional.
Oh,
yeah. So it's been.
Remember that. No, I remember that. Yeah, I'll tell you something.
Okay.
How long ago was that?
Well, yeah, that's right. It's crazy, man, how those moments mark your memory. And man, it's been great, man, talking to you. I know you got a lot to do, and you got to catch back up with some stuff, but I can't tell you how proud I am and honored to have played with you and watching you, man. I would go around and tell everybody, hey, man, they got a head coach right there, man, we were teammates and stuff, and all that stuff. So I've been keeping up with your career and just want you to know how proud I am of you, man, and appreciate you coming on the shoulder pad to just kind of talk a little bit about your career. And if we can ever do anything for you, let us know. And we're proud to say that you're on the team.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. Well, if I'm ever in Dallas and you get a note or something saying this guy's outside saying he knows you, let me in now, okay?
All right, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, B. Frank. Thanks.
And if it all falls down, we can put it back together again.